Hey, what's up, everyone? This your boy M80 here, and I know you guys are like, "Hey, fool, why you not in your car?" Well, this weekend there was nothing playing at the movie theater that I wanted to see, so I got something special for you guys. This week I'm gonna do a retro review of a 2007 Spanish horror movie called Wreck. Like I said, this came out in 2007, and I have a quick story for you guys before I review this movie. A year after that, a movie came out called Quarantine. You guys see it? You guys see it? Called Quarantine. Now, I have a soft spot for POV movies and zombie movies. So I'm like, this is right up my alley. So I went to go see Quarantine opening weekend in a packed Regal Cinemas theater. And I loved the movie. I thought it was excellent. So when the movie was over, I was like, man, I'm definitely buying this on DVD when it comes out. And I was looking at reviews for Quarantine. A lot of people didn't like it. And I read comments and people were saying, well, it's not as good as the original. You know, it's not better than Wreck. I'm like, what's Wreck? The original? At that point, I didn't even know Quarantine was a remake. So I go on Amazon because at this time in 2008, I didn't have a smartphone. I still had an old flip phone and I wasn't on YouTube like that. So I Googled Wreck and 5-star reviews everywhere. Everybody saying this is one of the best horror movies and the movie was excellent. So I'm like, okay, well, this movie should be available to purchase. So I go on Amazon and I see it. I'm like, okay, good. But since it's a Spanish horror movie, all the hard copies were, overseas, foreign, and they only played on foreign DVD players. And of course, I had an American DVD player. So I couldn't play it. And I was not going to purchase a foreign DVD player just to play one movie. I was just going to wait it out. And I believe a few months later, I was checking like every week, but a few months later, Amazon released the US version of Wreck. I was like, perfect. So I hurried up, put my information in, ordered it, and a few days later it came. And when it came in the mail, I didn't even wait till nighttime. I popped that bad boy in my DVD player immediately. And while watching it, I was like, oh man, this is good. And when it got done, I was like, yeah, this was better than the original. This was better than the remake. And I still love Quarantine to this day. So I was like, yeah, I see what everybody's talking about. This movie's excellent. So that's just a little backstory on how I learned about Wreck. And so I'm gonna start the review. Now this might have some spoilers in it. Like I said, this movie's almost 20 years old, so if you're a horror lover and you're watching this review and you haven't seen Wreck, you might want to stop the video and, like I said, definitely check it out. But this might have some spoilers in it, just to let you know. Now, the movie kicks off on a lighthearted note. I say you follow this news reporter and her cameraman. They're doing a documentary on a local fire department. And, she's at the fire department interviewing, the firemen that work there, seeing where they're sleeping at, seeing where they eat, playing basketball with them, having a good time. It's lighthearted. And, while she's interviewing one of the firemen, she even says, well, hopefully we do get a call for our viewers. No, nothing serious, but something small. She says something small, of course. So eventually in the middle of the night, they get a call. It seems small at that point. It's just an elderly lady, she's not acting herself. She's acting weird, making weird noises. So alarm goes off, they're happy. They get in the fire truck, they head down to the apartment complex. Once they get there, it's already 2 officers there, so they tell them, the firemen, what's going on, because the firemen have to break in the door because the door's locked. They break in the door, and she's acting belligerent. She's not acting herself. And, the policeman and firemen try and talk her down. And doing all this, of course, the cameraman's recording for the TV show. And after a minute or two later, the elderly lady, she bites one of the cops in the face. And it's all to go from there. It goes from there. It goes down from there. And while they're carrying the injured policeman down, they're calling for an ambulance on the radio. And all of a sudden, they try to go outside. The whole building's locked. No one can get in, no one can get out. They're calling the radio saying, have officer down, officer down. They was like, we'll have somebody in shortly, but you cannot leave the building. And that's when all the confusion starts. So they can't go out the front of the building. So they try to go out the back. They try to find any exit they can. And everybody's outside. They're quarantining the whole building. They're locking it down. Nobody can get in. Nobody can get out. And they're telling them, we'll have a health personnel person come in eventually and let you guys know what's going on. And so they're just sitting there with injured people there. And while they're doing all this, they left one of the firemen upstairs with the elderly lady. And next thing you know, he smacks him to the ground. And then they go attend to him. And this is where this movie is so good at, because you're in this small apartment building, you don't know what's going on, and people are just constantly turning up getting hurt, and nobody knows what's going on. So they're running around trying to figure out what's going on, trying to be patient and wait it out. And the movie, it lets up a little bit, it lets you breathe a little bit, because during the slow parts, you have the TV reporter interviewing some of the apartment tenants, tell them about themselves a little bit, maybe what they do for a living, how long they've been living there, and stuff like that. But eventually, as the movie goes on, the person from the health department comes in, he runs some tests, but of course, while he's running some tests, the injured police and firemen, they get up, they start acting in a rabid state, and they start attacking everyone. And while they're doing that, the rest of the firemen there and the policemen, they run out to get away from them. And then they corner the health person and like, hey, you're going to tell us what's going on, because something's not right. What's going on? And he let them know, hey, that was a dog that came into a vet that was sick. And then eventually when he woke up, he started attacking everybody. And the reporter like, was his name Max? And the health person was like, yes. So Max was at that apartment building. So anybody that came in contact with Max got infected as well. Now, once that happened, the tension kicked up again. Everybody started going crazy, attacking each other. And we're going to the third act here. And when the third act came, it was pretty much one fireman, the reporter, and the cameraman. Only 3 alive. And they're fighting to stay alive. Everywhere they go, there's some infected people running after them, trying to eat them, trying to attack them. So they have to watch their back. They have to keep running, killing people if they have to, do all that stuff. So the only place they can go now is to the penthouse area, which was mentioned earlier during the interviews that there was a guy that lived up there, but he hasn't been up there for a long time. Nobody lives up there. Okay, cool. So they find the keys, the cameraman and the reporter, and they luckily make it to the penthouse area. They find the right key, get into the penthouse area, shut the door. It's real dark in there. They're looking around. And in this penthouse, you get clues to where the virus came from and how it started. So it's kind of dark in there. They only have the light from the camera now because the electricity's out. So they're looking for an escape route in there. And while they're looking, the camera actually gets hit and it breaks. So all they have is the light, the night light on the camera. And so they're looking, the cameraman's looking, and he's like, oh no, there's somebody in here. And you see like a tall, skinny figure. And they're like, of course we have to be quiet. And we're gonna try to sneak past it. And they both try to sneak past it, but it's a horror movie, doesn't work. So the infected person, she sees him, and she starts attacking the cameraman, takes the cameraman out. So only person we have left is your news reporter. She gets knocked down, and she gets, a few seconds later, the final shot of the movie, she's on the floor, she gets dragged away, and she's screaming. And the movie cuts, that's it. So that's it for Rec. Out of a 10, I will give this movie a 9. So like I say, I have a soft spot for POV movies and movies with infected/zombie people. So that's right up my alley. This movie was excellent. Like I said, first thing, the length. If you watch this channel enough, you know me. The length was perfect. And the length is only 1 hour and 15 minutes. So this movie goes by very quick. It's only an hour and 15 minutes. The tension, the build up, everything was good about that. I love that. And the acting was good, because this movie didn't have a big budget. You could tell that. But the acting was still good. And the bad, I know I'm kind of contradicting myself with the bad, but they could have added maybe more minutes to the movie, maybe 10, 15 more minutes to the movie. But other than that, it was really nothing bad. I mean, you could nitpick, but this movie was excellent to me. I give it a 9 out of 10. Like I said, if you're a horror lover, you should definitely watch this. Add this to your movie collection. And they did more movies. Rec 2, I believe, came out 2 years after that. That picked up minutes after the first one. That was a good movie too. Not as good as the first one, but it was good. Rec 3 came out a few years later. That went off a different path. That wasn't following the regular Rec storyline. It was pretty much people at a wedding getting married and an outbreak happened. And then a few years later after that, 2014, Rec 4 came out, and that tied up everything with the Rec storyline. So definitely check this one out. You'll enjoy it. Check the whole series out. You'll enjoy the whole series. Now next week, I'll get back to my regular reviews. Russell Crowe has an exorcism movie coming out, so I'm definitely going to go check that out, and I'll have that review up for you guys next week. This is M80. I'm out.